Dear friends, this is episode number 54 of the Limitation Act. We are dealing with section 21. I have cited some of the decisions. We will continue that. Now today I will cite 1999 9 ACC 380, same as AER 2000 Supreme Court 172 by Justice Rajendra Babu and Justice R.C. Lahoti. Both of them later became Chief Justices. The facts of the case are relevant. Brief facts. Suit is for specific performance of an agreement for sale by several persons with the vendor. That is, vendees are several. Suit was filed by the vendees except one, who was made a defendant. Subsequently, he was transposed as an additional plaintiff. So, who are all the plaintiffs? The vendees. There are several vendees, one of whom did not join the suit at the time when the suit was filed. Therefore, he was made a defendant. Later, he was transposed as an additional plaintiff. The agreement for sale was that half of the property will be purchased by the person who was originally made the defendant and who was later transposed as the additional plaintiff. The defendant raised a contention that so far as the transposed plaintiff is concerned, the suit was barred, because on the date on which the transposition took effect, it was barred by limitation. This contention was negatived, held that section 21(2) applies. Section 21(2) specifically provides that nothing in subsection 1 shall apply to a case where a party is added or substituted owing to assignment or devolution of any interest, or where a plaintiff is made a defendant or a defendant is made a plaintiff. So it is clearly stated. Still such a contention was raised and that reached up to Supreme Court. And it was held by the Supreme Court in paragraph 9. You may see, I will read a portion. Section 21 has no application to cases of transposition of parties. 21(1). What is meant by the Supreme Court is that 21(1). Since transposition also involves addition of a plaintiff or defendant, as the case may be, into the suit as originally filed, subsection 2 of section 21 applies only to those cases where the claim of the person transposed as a plaintiff can be sustained on the plaint as originally filed. The transposition must be such that even after a person is transposed, the suit can be continued as such, as filed, not a new case. That is a test. That is why this decision becomes important. Section 21, subsection 2 of section 21 applies only to those cases where the claim of the person transposed as a plaintiff can be sustained on the plaint as originally filed, or where a person remaining as a plaintiff after the said transposition can sustain his claim against the transposed defendant on the basis of the plaint originally filed. See the test that is to be applied. For subsection 2 to apply, all that is necessary is that the suit as filed originally should remain the same after transposition of the plaintiff, and there should be no addition to its subject matter. Where a suit as originally filed is properly framed with the proper parties on record, the mere change of a party from the array of the defendants to that of the plaintiffs under Order 1 Rule 10 CPC will not make him a new plaintiff and will not bring the case within this section, and this section means 21(1), and in such a case subsection 1 will not apply. For instance, where one of the plaintiffs refusing to join as a plaintiff was first made a defendant and thereafter transposed as a plaintiff, he is not a new plaintiff. There may be reasons are varied. Two persons are entitled to a right. Two persons are entitled to file a suit jointly. But due to difference of opinion, one is inclined to file the suit, one is not inclined to file the suit. The one who is entitled to file the suit can file the suit and make the other person who is entitled to that right a defendant. Therefore, the argument advanced on behalf of the appellants that the suit is barred by limitation so far as so and so is concerned, in as much as he is transposed as a plaintiff after the period of limitation, does not stand to reason. So that an argument was advanced. See, what is the argument? The wording is, or where a plaintiff is made a defendant or a defendant is made a plaintiff. Transposition does not involve such a course, probably may be the argument. And that argument does not sustain because the suit as filed originally can sustain even after the transposition. No new case is involved. The case as originally put forward by the plaintiffs continues as such. The transposed plaintiff has also the same contention and therefore there is no prejudice. Yes, next is AER 2009 Supreme Court 2907, same as 2009-11 SCC 183. In the earlier case I did not mention the name, 99-9 SCC 380, that is Mukesh Kumar and others. Mukesh Kumar and others versus Colonel Harbans WARAICH and others. That is the name of that case. Now the present case AER 2009 Supreme Court 2907, same as 2009-11 SCC 183. Name of the case is Kattari Suryanarayana and others versus Kopisetti Subbarao and others. Para 10. It is now tried means well settled, by reason of various decisions of this court, that different considerations arise in the matter of condoning the delay in filing an application for setting aside an abatement upon condonation of delay in a suit and an appeal. It is furthermore neither in doubt nor in dispute that such applications should be considered liberally. The court would take a more liberal attitude in the matter of condonation of delay in filing such an application. There are, however, exceptions to the said rule. Delay in bringing the legal representatives. So, legal representatives 21(1) will apply, where after the institution a new plaintiff or defendant is substituted or added, the legal representatives are implemented, and the test to be applied in condoning the delay. See, we have seen order 22 in detail in episode number 2 and 3 of the CPC. There, after setting aside abatement, the period for setting aside the abatement, 90 days for impleading, then 60 days for setting aside abatement, and then comes delay, condonation of delay. In the matter of condonation of delay of filing an appeal is different from the matter of condonation of delay in setting aside the abatement. A more liberal approach will be made in the latter case because the appeal is already pending, the suit is already pending, whereas delay in filing does not does not apply to suits but to appeals. So we take it as an appeal. So delay in condoning the filing of an appeal stands different from the delay in condoning the matter of condoning delay in setting aside abatement. Because in the case of setting aside abatement delay, there the appeal is already there. Therefore, it is more liberal in that sense. So, while applying section 21, that test is also to be applied. Next is 2017 9 SCC 700, same as AAR. 2018 Supreme Court 490. Justice Arun Mishra and Justice Mohan M. Shantragaudar, judgment by Justice Shantragaudar. Pankaj Bhai, Ramesh Bhai, Zalavadia, ZALAVADA versus Jeta Bhai, Kala Bhai, Salavadia. There, substitution or addition of any person as plaintiff. Plaintiff's application under Order 22 Rule 4 for impleading LRs of one of the deceased defendant, D7, was dismissed by the trial court as that defendant already died before filing of the suit for setting aside the land in question. So a suit was filed, seventh defendant was shown, a particular person was shown as the seventh defendant. It later transpired that he was dead even before the filing of the suit. Strictly speaking, it is not a question of impleading, it is a question of substituting. The LRs can be substituted in his place, and their delay occurred by the time the period of limitation is over. So all contentions available were put forward. The Supreme Court considered it and said in paragraph 7, in the matter on hand, the sale was made in favor of the defendant number 7, and the validity of the sale deed was the subject matter of the suit. The purchaser of the property, that is the defendant number 7, though dead at the time of filing of the suit, was made one of the defendants erroneously. Mistake. The persons who are now sought to be impleaded under Order 1 Rule 10, it is not under Order 22 Rule 4, because Order 22 Rule 4 to apply, the death must take place after filing of the suit. Here he was dead even before filing the suit. Therefore, Order 1 Rule 10 will apply. The persons who are now sought to be impleaded under Order 1 Rule 10 of the Code are the legal representatives of the deceased defendant number 7. Therefore, there cannot be any dispute that the presence of the legal representatives of deceased is necessary in order to enable the court to effectively and completely adjudicate upon and settle all the questions involved in the suit. Their presence is necessary in the suit for the determination of the real matter in dispute. Therefore, they are needed to be brought on record, of course, subject to the law of limitation as contended under Section 21 of the Limitation Act. So, this section was applied. Of course, it is filing of a suit, therefore, it is subject to law of limitation. But the delay as such, the delay not in filing the suit, but in bringing the legal representatives. There cannot be any condonation of delay in filing the suit. It cannot be. But because Section 5 of the Limitation Act will not apply. But even if there is a delay in bringing on record the legal representatives of the deceased who died even before filing the suit, it does not come under Order 22, it comes under Order 1 Rule 10. If it is Order 1 Rule 10 1, then what is relevant is for the effective determination of the real matter in dispute. Whereas it is Sub-Rule 2 of Order 1 Rule 10, then effectually and completely adjudicate upon and settle all the disputes involved in the case. Either way, these conditions are satisfied and the application was allowed by the Supreme Court. The next is ILR 2014 1 Kerala 1014. Parallel citation 2014 2 KLT 487. Joseph KJ versus Manager New India Assurance Company Limited. It was a suit for claiming insurance amount under a policy towards loss sustained by damages. It was made against an insurance company. Later, the bank was also impleaded. Question of limitation was raised. Since the additional defendant was impleaded after the expiry of 3-year period from the date of accrual of the right to sue, claim of the plaintiff against the additional defendant is barred by limitation. Because it is an original proceeding. It cannot be condoned. Division bench. Then 1990 2 KLT, volume 2 KLT 237, same as 1990 KHC 365. James McIntosh, MACHINTOSH, McIntosh and Company Private Limited versus Sri Yamuna Milk Company Limited. Sri Yamuna Milk Company Limited. A transposition of a defendant as second plaintiff took place. It was held that the change of possession will not affect limitation so far as party is already on record. And it was held in paragraph 5, several points, very lucidly stated by Justice Padmanabhan. I will read that paragraph. It is true that the normal rule under section 21 of the Limitation Act is that when a plaintiff or defendant is added or substituted after institution, the suit, so far as he is concerned, will be deemed to be instituted only when he was made a party. That will be subject to the law of limitation also. But if the court is satisfied that the substitution or addition became necessary on account of omission due to a mistake made in good faith in the matter of impleading, it is having discretion to provide that the suit, so far as he is concerned, was instituted at an earlier date. But when the addition or substitution was owing to assignment or devolution of an interest during the pendency of a suit, or when that is involved is only transposition of a party already on record, even the exercise of that discretion on satisfaction of good faith is not necessary. We have seen under section 21 mistake, then good faith. What is held by Justice Padmanabhan is that if it is a transposition, that is not necessary. Change of possession will not affect limitation so far as a party who was already on record. This is the case where the legal representatives and assignees also, so far as they are concerned, it is a continuing suit which will be deemed to have been instituted on the date of its original institution itself. Subsection 1. Say for example, a suit is instituted by A against B. B dies. Suit is filed within time. B dies. It took some time to implead the legal representatives of B. There occurred delay. What will happen? It is not delay in filing the suit. Suit is already there. It is delay in filing the application for impleading. That is what is said here. So far as they are concerned, it is a continuing suit which will be deemed to have been instituted on the date of its original institution itself. Subsection 1 of section 21 has no application in such cases. In this case, the fifth defendant, who was already on the array of parties, satisfied the claims of the original plaintiff during the pendency of the suit, and by subrogation stepped into his shoes and got himself transposed. There is no question of limitation in doing so as the suit is pending. So also, there is no question of considering the suit having been instituted on the date of his transposition, so far as he is concerned. It is the original institution that counts for everything, including limitation. So this is the case of transposition and impleading the legal representatives. A different note was made by Justice Padmanabhan in that decision. Next is ILR 1983 1 Kerala 566. Parallel citation 1983 KLT 63. Name of the case C.R. Ramakrishnan versus Raman and others. That was a suit filed in a representative capacity. One of the parties died. Question is whether it is necessary to implead the personal real representatives of the parties, of the deceased party. Not necessary, because he is not in the personal capacity, he is in the capacity of a group representing similar interests. It is a representative suit. So he represents a large number of persons. So it is not his widow and children who are to be impleaded, but the proper parties. If he is an office bearer of some organization or something, next office bearer. So it was a representative capacity. See the innovative contention. Suit was instituted against office bearers of an association to continue the suit in a representative, permission was granted to continue the suit in a representative character. Originally it was filed against the office bearers of the association. Subsequently, permission was granted to continue the suit in a representative character against the defendants. Order 1 Rule 8, that these formalities were complied with. Then the contention is that the newly added parties in a representative character, in so far as they are concerned, they were impleaded on the date on which they were so made parties, and therefore, or even if not parties, the innumerable number of persons who either eo nomine or otherwise, they need not be impleaded, they are bound by the decision if all the formalities of Order 1 Rule 8 are satisfied. So the contention is that now the suit was originally against the office bearers of an association. The court later permitted those persons to be being sued in a representative character, representing a large number of persons. So those persons whom these office bearers represent must be deemed to be made parties to the suit at a later point of time, and that being after the period of limitation, it cannot be allowed. That was the argument. See the argument, how the arguments of counsel goes. And it was held in paragraph 22. With great respect, we are unable to follow this, the reasoning adopted by Wordsworth J. in Shankara Menon's case. We have already indicated that the effect of applying the provisions of Order 1 Rule 8 CPC is not to add parties to the suit. By invoking these provisions by fiction of law, it is deemed that innumerable persons are in the possession of parties to the suit, though actually they are not parties. Section 21 of the Limitation Act contemplates substitution or addition of new parties after the institution of the suit. It cannot be said that by merely invoking Order 1 Rule 8, any person is substituted or added as a party. We therefore hold that Section 21 of the Limitation Act is not attributed. We are unable on the facts of the case to agree that the suit as constituted originally must be treated as defective suit. This is not a case where the suit was brought originally against the defendants in their individual capacity and later on sought to be converted into a representative action, etc., etc. That is on facts. See the argument put forward and the answer. Originally against office bearers of association, not in their individual capacity but representing an association, there are several members in that association. Later it was thought that those persons against whom that suit was filed should be persons being sued in a representative character, representing large number of persons. And the argument is that so far as those large number of persons who will be bound by the result of the litigation shall be deemed to be made parties on a subsequent date, and since it is after the period of limitation for filing the suit is barred. That is the argument. That argument was negatived, saying that Order 1 Rule 8 suit, what is the character? It is binding on all similarly situated persons whose interests are being projected in the suit. That does not mean that they are made parties. Therefore, Section 21, ingredients of Section 21 are not attracted, and therefore there is no question of considering good faith, mistake, etc. This is by Justice Chandrasekhara Menon and Justice U.L. Butt. Judgment by Justice U.L. Butt. Both are, Justice Chandrasekhara Menon passed away, Justice Butt is alive. Very intelligent and well accepted judges. And so far as Justice U.L. Butt is concerned, I said once, I consider him as the best judge I have ever seen. So, this is that judgment. We will see in the next episode. Thank you.